So far in this chapter, we've been dealing with the quadratic equations and different ways of solving these quadratic equations. We saw the factorization method, and we saw the formula method, the quadratic formula method. We've also studied the concept of nature of fruits. Moving ahead, we'll be dealing with questions where we have word problems based on quadratic equations, and we'll be solving those. So let's just discuss a few basic steps regarding how to solve these word problems, right? Uh, the first step I could say is basic. What you need to do is represent the unknown quantity of the problem with the variable x, right? So you read the question, figure out what is the unknown quantity or what is the value you want to find, and we'll represent that with the variable x. Okay. The second step, and the step where a lot of students find it difficult, is basically this, where you need to translate the given statements to form an equation in terms of x, right? So you read the text, you read it in English, and then you translate that into a mathematical equation, and this is where a lot of students seem to falter, right? Let's take a few examples of this thing, right? So for example, if I'm dealing with this, two numbers which differ by 3, right? Okay, if I have a situation like this where I have two numbers differ by 3, what we'll do is we'll consider the first number as x, and since the two numbers differ by 3, the second number could either be x plus 3, right, or it could also be x minus 3, right? So x and x plus 3, or x and x minus 3. If I consider the smaller number to be x, the other number will be x plus 3. If I consider the larger number to be x, the other number will be x minus 3. So if two numbers differ by 3, we can consider them in this way, right? Let's take another example. Suppose if they give us in a question related to, say, the ages, the sum of the ages of two sisters is 38, right? So how do I interpret that information and try to convert it to an equation and with variables? So the sum of the ages of two sisters is 38. Suppose if one sister, her age is x years, the other sister, her age will be 38 minus x years, right? Understand, the sum of these two have to be 38. So if one is x, the other one has to be 38 minus x, right? These are just examples of possible sums that could come, possible sums and their respective interpretations, right? What if I have something like this? A certain number is 3 less than twice the square of that given number, right? 3 less than twice the square. So let's break up this big sentence into small parts, right? So it is 3 less than, right? So it says 3 less than. Now, less than means it has to be subtracted, and you're subtracting how much? 3, because it's 3 less than. So you need to subtract 3 from some value. From which value exactly? Twice the square of the number. Okay, so twice, the word twice means it has to be something multiplied by 2. Square of the number, we'll say let the number be x, so the square of the number becomes x squared. So twice the square of the number, 3 less than that, so minus 3. Right? So this is how we will be. So what you'll have to do is, if you got something which has many things in them, so you got to subtract 3, multiply 2, and square the number. So you just break them down part by part, right? You first go to this square of the number, x squared, twice the square of the number, so 2x squared, and 3 less than that. Less than means subtraction, so minus 3, right? Another example, suppose if you have a number what we are increasing or decreasing it by 15. So suppose the number is x, and if it is being increased by 15, it will be plus, and if it is being decreased, it will be minus 15. Increased means plus 15, and decreased means minus 15. It's rather straightforward, right? So these are just a few examples. We'll be looking at more examples as we solve the sums, and hopefully it gets more and more clear as to how to tackle word problems as such. And once you are done framing the equation, the last step is just to solve the equation and get your answer, right? So moving on, we'll be solving a bunch of sums on this concept, on basically word problems. We'll be solving a bunch of word problems on quadratic equations. So yeah, see you in the next video.